Welcome back to the Hunt Experience. I'm Cody Gann.
And I'm Chris Brewer. This episode is brought to you by Camel Family Outdoors and Whitetail Property Management.
Well, Chris, it's turkey season, buddy.
And it is, what is today? Wednesday here.
Yep.
And we open up on Monday.
Yep, exactly.
And I have no birds located.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. I know a guy that heard one that I have permission to hunt, so it's kind of one of them deals. Yeah. And it was a turkey. It wasn't actually a gobbler or anything. It was just a turkey.
It was a turkey sound.
Something
that's
alive.
A lead. That's a lead.
Well, I mean,
I've got a spot that I know where turkeys are every year.
Yeah,
I've yet to kill one out of there because it's so swampy and thick, but I don't know. I got a few days to wake up early and go try to find one.
You may have to go samurai on them or something. To figure it out.
No question, I will.
Yeah, for sure. We need to team up too. I need to film.
We talked about that.
Stroking one.
I need that. I'm still trying to put together. I really want to put together an out-of-state hunt somewhere.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I don't know. Everybody's telling me Kansas has kind of gone downhill, so I'm thinking
that's what I've heard.
I'm thinking maybe go back to Missouri. I mean,
that was fun.
Yeah.
When we were down there together.
Oh yeah.
And we would be fall hunting deer, and it'd be like turkeys gobbling everywhere. Yeah. Man. Crazy.
So I'm almost contemplating, not down here by us, Missouri, but a little bit middle, maybe farther north.
Okay.
Deal. You got to quit hunting by one, but man, it might be kind of relaxing actually.
Yeah.
Have to hunt all day long.
Hit the hotel and take a nap.
Yeah. And I still got the Miriam on my checklist too. Like I'd love to go somewhere.
One of these days.
I tried to put that together this year through the guy that mounts my birds. He's got a buddy that guides, and he told me, it's like, I'll just show you a farm because I don't want a guide.
Yeah.
But he couldn't find a spot for me nowhere. Like we text back and forth for like 3 weeks, saying, "Man, I don't have nothing for you." So
well, I got that Missouri farmer that I can make that happen. Because they were like, turkeys, go ahead. I don't care if you hunt turkeys. Don't hunt my deer. But
are you talking about the old lease?
No. Do you remember my original lease, the one before the one you were on? The big farmer.
Yeah.
He's the one that let me turkey hunt that one. Me and Jode went up there, and that was we had like 8 birds gobbling that morning. We just couldn't get them across the creek.
That's on private.
That was on private.
Yeah, we need to
check into that.
Yeah, holler at him and let me know.
Never know, man.
I'll drive.
Hey, I can text and make that happen.
I'll drive.
Hey, I'll ride with you.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go out of state bad because I know. For one, I just like going out of state and taking some time off from work, and this turkey season's so short. But 2, it's like I don't know that I've been out of state and not killed a turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
So your success rate's high.
I think every time I've gone, I've killed.
Yeah. Well, see, that's really the only time that I actually went turkey hunting. Of course, we go deer hunting, and there's turkeys we could shoot with our bows, But I went with Jody, and we went to Kansas. And
I remember that.
It was the golden years.
And he doubled up, right?
He doubled up one morning, and it was like, all right, dude. I was filming. That's what I was there for, and it's like, all right, do I go buy tags?
Yeah.
So I went and bought tags, and it was like, we could have killed 2 other birds, and it just didn't happen. It was like you had talked about last time. It's like, these turkeys are right there, and they're hammering. It was like a 20-foot ravine between us. We didn't know
that happened. Yeah, that's a lot of my Missouri stuff. It's like you fight them because the creeks will be here, and they'll make like almost a giant U, and you don't know really where they're running. And it's like, well, why is this bird not coming in?
Exactly.
And he's dying to get over here, and then you get up and start making a move. It's like, oh, there's one of those black dirt creeks that are 9 foot deep, and he ain't fixing to fly across.
I swear they don't have rocks up there.
No,
man. There's not a rock one.
Wouldn't you love to have that soil here?
Oh my gosh, dude! You imagine the plot screens we could grow and the switch grass.
I know, right? Yeah, you can throw anything on the ground up there and just forget about it.
I know, awesome. Well, today, man, I wanted to talk about a little bit of our favorite turkey hunts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know me and you are real big on the youth side, and we've had stuff with our kids, but what's your number one as far as you killing a turkey?
Oh, man.
Yeah, you have to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Think about it real hard. What would you pick?
I've got 2 on my brain, but
I'll give you 2. You can go 2.
I'm gonna choose one.
All right.
Narrow it down. And it was a Kansas bird, so I tell the story about hunting up here in Arkansas and getting on these birds and not be able to kill one. And normally I give up, like, forget it, I'm going to Kansas and I'm trying to kill a bird. Well, I went up there one year and killed a hybrid. It was Rio Eastern hybrid. And I think y'all were up there. I think that was the same year you and Jody, because I told you where I was. I was on the way back. Like, yeah, I'm already heading home, man. I'm done. I got mine.
Yeah, so I didn't
stay the night. Didn't do nothing. I'm heading back. I think y'all were heading back about the same time.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's a walk-in area in Kansas, and I just happened to mark it on my maps. And I went back the next year. I think it was the next year, and I set up a blind, and like I wanted to kill a turkey with my bow for 10 years. Like, I just think that'd be the coolest thing ever. So I was trying to do it the year I killed that hybrid, and he would never come to where the blind was. So I got out and started calling and walking away from him.
And went and got him.
And went and killed him. Yeah. But, so this particular morning, I set it up that evening, went back that morning in the dark, sat there, and hens flew right down. I mean, so I set the thing up like right where the hens were.
Right in the middle of them.
Yeah, so they came in later that evening and roosted right above the blind, basically.
That's how you want to do it right there.
Well, I've always wanted to kill a bearded hen. And they pass a law in Arkansas where you can't kill a bearded hen, but you can still kill one up there. So the first hen that hits the ground and starts, kind of pecking the ground is a bearded hen. So I'm like, oh my gosh. 3 birds are hammering behind her. I'm like, oh man, I'd love to kill her, but I'm going to wait. And anyway, long story short, 3 Rios came in.
Oh, wow.
And they came in pretty quickly chasing the hens. So the first one passed me by, the second one passed me by. So I drew my bow back on the third one, let an arrow fly. He drops. The second bird comes over and starts flogging that bird. And I immediately knocked another arrow, but I was fixing to take the guys to Kansas. So I was like, man, I better save a tag, to take them. Because I was going to hunt too.
Right.
So I opted out of killing the second bird. But ironically enough, the third bird was the only one I really had a chance of killing, out of the gate, because I just wasn't ready. And he had, for a Rio, long spurs, inch and something, and he was triple bearded.
Triple beard.
Yeah.
Dang.
So that's
with
probably
a bow.
With a bow. Yeah.
That's pretty hard to do,
And
bro.
Actually, I filled out some paperwork for that thing, and he's like, I don't know. He's way down the list, but he is on the list of non-typical records for spurs and beards on the Kansas deal. I filled out all the paperwork and sent it in, and they sent it back. I can't remember what number it was, but it's on the board somewhere.
Do you have that bird mounted?
It's actually still at my taxidermist.
Oh, really?
It's just been on display up there forever. I hadn't even went and picked it up.
It's a showpiece.
I talked to him the other day. I was like, don't forget you got your turkey up here. And I was like, I need to go get that thing. So I actually thought about it again today, because I went and picked up my deer today. I was like, man, I need to go get my turkey. I keep on forgetting about it. But
so that's your number one, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, you just named off a bunch of stuff that don't really happen in the turkey woods. So
yeah, I know.
Huge spurs, 3 beards with a bow.
Yeah, and a Rio was on my list. And I didn't think being that far south in Kansas, because I killed a hybrid there the year before that. I didn't think there'd be a full Rio there, but it was. As a matter of fact, I had a guy. I actually pulled up this grocery store, and you from around here? And we started talking, and he's like, well, I'm actually something. Anyway, he was something to do with the Kansas state, whatever. And he came, looked at it, and I was like, man, it looks like a Rio to me. He's like, yeah, that's a full Rio right there, man. Wow. That's crazy. So it was, he's the one that actually gave me the paperwork. So you need to fill out paperwork on that bird. So he handed me all the stuff. And I was up there at some little convenience store, grocery store thing where I bought my license. So
he was impressed with it. It must have been something pretty big.
Yeah. Especially with the bow. He's like, you bow hunt? But they have a bow season up there.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't go during bow season. I went during gun season. But they actually have a bow season. So I was actually talking to a guy about that the other day. I was like, man, I got a crossbow now. Like, I wonder how many people actually bow hunt turkeys in Kansas, because that might be the time to go. I think we've missed it. I don't know. But
yeah. Huh. Interesting.
That's me. What about you? What you got?
Well, hey, mine's pretty easy, man. You know me, I've been in the food plot side forever. And in the beginning, here at home, I was a clover man. Well, I found out pretty quick that turkeys like clover, man.
Yes,
there'll be bugs and everything in there, man. They'll come in there. So for several years, that was one of our setups. We would go and sit on the edge of a clover field and go out the night before and roost a bird, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's exactly what I did. I went out the night before and I roosted this bird. He was probably a couple hundred from the clover field. I would, maybe not quite that far, 150, something like that. Anyway, the next morning came, I went to the edge of the clover field. I just sat on my rear, propped my gun on my knee, and, you know, did some just small calling and a hat fly down, and I just waited. And he gobbled on the roost, and he gobbled several times on the roost. Well, the next thing I know, I look up, and it's kind of like you were talking about. I had this bird fly right into my face. It was a hen.
Yeah.
A single hen.
Really?
Yeah, all by herself. And she flies and lands within 10 yards of me.
Yeah.
And I have to completely freeze, you know, I mean, I cannot move.
Oh yeah.
And I'm leaned up against a tree. My back's against a tree, but I'm sitting out in the open pretty much on the edge of this clover plot. So it wasn't the greatest.
Yeah, that'll work.
You know?
As long as you have a face mask on.
So I'm thinking, gosh, you know, that Tom's got to come in here. He's coming. You know, he's got to. Now I've got a hen in here, you know, and she just kind of feeds around in front of me, and I just keep my eyes forward. I don't even want to move my eyes. You know, that's how close she is. Well, then I hear a bird flying, and I hear it fly. It's really loud, but it doesn't light in front of me. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Well, I take my eyes, and I'm able to cut them up to the tree I'm sitting beside, and this Tom flew in and landed in a tree right above me.
That's crazy.
And then I was like, what is going on? So, the hen kind of turned its back to me. So I took and looked up, and he's full strut on a limb above me, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe this. This was like, I was like, what is going on
I
here?
thought you said this was pretty easy.
Yes.
This is a pretty easy story.
I've never had a turkey fly into another tree.
No, I've not heard of
and
that.
then strut on the limb.
Yeah.
I had never seen that
I've seen
before.
them strutting on the limb before, but I've never seen them. I've never heard of one flying.
So here he is. He's 20 feet in this tree, looking down on this hen, and he's strutting. And he stays up there for like 10 minutes. And, you know, the whole time I'm froze. And I remember mosquito lights on the side of my face, and it's just chewing a hole in my face. And I'm just sitting there taking it, you know.
You got the West Nile virus being pumped into you.
That dude pumped out half a gallon, man. I swear. So I sat there, and, you know, the whole time the hen is like right there. And I'm thinking, come on, dude, come down, you know. And finally, he just pitches straight down to her. He lands within like 5 feet of her, you know, and I just, all in one motion, just boom, and shot him.
Yeah.
Well, you know, come to find out, he was an old bird. And I don't know how to age a turkey, but he had some super long hooks, man. Like, and I actually got the bird mounted because he had the biggest spurs I'd ever killed. And his beard wasn't all that impressive. It was like, you know, he had that beard rod or whatever in it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like
I've heard of that. Yeah.
8-inch beard or something. But that was the coolest, you know, of all the birds that I killed by myself.
Yeah.
I would say that was probably my number one because I had never seen anything like that.
That's
happen.
phenomenal.
Well, I mean, you know, I've never even heard of somebody say, I had a bird fly in and roost in the tree beside me.
So was it like daylight when he flew in?
It was early morning.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was.
Yeah, but it was good light.
Oh, no, it was fully light. And it was just like, what is going on? Was there predators around? I mean, what caused him to do that?
That's probably why, you say he was an older bird. Maybe that was his technique. I'm going to fly from tree to tree and not ever
crazy.
get in a you know, the range of a shotgun or something.
Yeah, it was weird.
I seen one in Missouri one time, like, I'm talking like a midday, and I busted them off of a roost.
Really?
It was like, but it wasn't very high. It was like 8 foot high in a tree. And I come around, Missouri has all those trails. I was just walking a trail, and it was like sitting up in a tree and flew down, took off running. Like, what was that thing doing?
Yeah, it was like perched watching.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So that was definitely a memorable one because I had never seen a turkey.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah. So that part's pretty cool. So I know you're just like me, and we spend most of our turkey time with our kids.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah, well, our boys, I should say.
It's getting less as they get older, but mine's like he sent me a video the other day. He's like, I'll do the calling from here on out. And he's practicing his calling, he's cutting and all that stuff. So
he's got it figured out.
He's planning on wanting to take some time off his work and go with this.
He's going to guide Dad now. Huh?
Yeah, that's what he thinks. I tell him for years all the stuff he's killed. So you got the best guy in the world.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Here he comes, shoot him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's the spot.
For sure. So for me, man, like we had talked about before, my introduction into the videoing side was when Luke killed his first turkey at 5.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that was the one with Richie. I talked about it before.
Yeah.
And it was a big double-bearded just freak of a bird that, you know, never happens.
I told you, I was taking my boy, you know, I was like, I'm going to look up some, like, you know, taking 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old, whatever, what I typed in, and I pulled up that video.
That you found that one, yeah.
That's been, I don't even know, well, mine's 18 now, so do the math on that.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah. It's been a minute. Yeah. So, I think for me that once that happened, you know, and I was a turkey hunter. I'd killed quite a few birds at that point, but after that it was like, okay, I'm taking my kid, you know, or I'm going with somebody. That was just so much fun. Yeah. And so I think for me, I kind of went from, I've killed a few birds to I want to go and try to get my son one and try to get my daughter one.
Yeah.
And then, so that went on for like 6-7 years.
Well, and that hunt turned. I mean, that was a 3-man. They had Rich in the blind.
Yeah, Richie was with me. Yeah,
that started the whole filming thing.
Yes, yeah, that was it.
That's a pretty significant hunt right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, man.
Anytime you get Rich in the blind with him, you know something good is going to happen.
The Sebby.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is I started a YouTube back then before I even knew what I was doing, and we threw the video up, and you know. I ended up canceling that YouTube because we'd done some things wrong and didn't post some stuff right. And so I've lost all of that footage, man. Yeah.
Was that Camo Family Outdoors?
That was the original.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so I don't remember what I knew it was y'all, obviously, but before we kind of got all this going, but I can't remember if that was CFO then or not.
Well, I actually filmed it and killed the bird years before Camo started.
Oh, okay.
So, but we had the footage, and that was one of the first things I put on Camo.
Oh, okay.
And you know, makes me sick, man, because I've lost all that footage.
Yeah, that's
you know,
bad.
There's several early hunts with my kids and stuff that were on Camo, and when we relaunched Camo, that all got deleted. So it's like, I don't have it on cards. I didn't back it up. I don't have it on nothing. But anyway, yes. So that for me was like, hey, I'm going to film.
Yeah.
If you know, when we go turkey hunting, I'm taking a kid. This was the coolest thing ever.
Oh no, for sure.
Just going to keep doing that. And see, same with you, right? So you started early with Luke, didn't you?
Yeah, he was 4'10" and 5 years old,
sitting in your lap.
Yeah, and you know that's one of my ones I have on my list is one that we didn't get a kill on, but
let's go ahead and hear it. I want to hear that.
We always did. He started playing. No, let's see. I was before Travel Ball. So this was the very first bird. Yeah, I think he was 5, maybe 6. But I mean, I bought like I hate to even say it, but it was like a Rossi single shot 410. You can convert it into a 22, and the thing it kicked scary hard for a 410. Like the night we bought it, I was actually driving home, and there was a copperhead in the driveway. I'm like, oh, hang on, I'm gonna shoot this thing, and I shot that gun. I shot that snake with that gun. And I was like, holy crap. This is the cheapest shotgun you can buy. And it kicked like a mule. So I was scared for him to shoot it anyway. But anyway, I told the story last week about how dumb I was even with it. But we had a bird gobbling on the roost. Sounded like he was a couple 100 yards away, but he was gobbling away from us, and I didn't know that. So I got to the spot to where we were just going to be just a little bit on the backside of a ridge. When he popped his head over, we're going to be set up perfect. I go up to set up the decoy, and the bird's already flown down, and he's coming up the hill.
Y'all met, huh?
We locked eyes, and he took off. So I pulled the decoy, and we made a big loop around and actually got back on the bird again. And this thing come in just to some light calling. I knew he was already spooked, but I guess he didn't have any hens with him in hindsight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been interested in us and all. But he was sitting on my lap, and this thing had one hen decoy popped out in front of us. And no joke, that bird was probably 4 feet away from us, probably spitting and drumming.
Really?
but he couldn't. He had his gun laying like he was going to be shooting left-handed, laying in the lap, and I didn't notice it. I was trying to find the bird,
right?
And so we sat there and watched it. I mean, we could have reached out and touched this thing. It's just epic, if we had any type of footage of it at all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so he gets disinterested in the hen, kind of figures out something's going on. Never really spooked, but started walking away to our right. So I tried to get him in my lap, situated around. And by that time, the bird kind of spooks and goes off. But, I still remember it was like a Browning camouflage hat with one of my masks that didn't fit. It had I think some bread ties, tying it up. And he just looked up at me and was like, that was awesome. So it was like, okay, it wasn't about the kill.
Yeah.
He was, feet away from a big mature turkey. And
that's awesome.
That was his first introduction into turkey,
right.
And then from then we got on several other birds and he's killed some. We'll talk about that later. But, at 6, he started playing up on a travel ball team and, that's turkey season. That's baseball every weekend. And so
cut into that. Yeah.
We had some very few opportunities after that, but that was one of those things. I mean,
wasn't even about the hunt.
No,
it was about the kid and his reaction.
And that happened like 3 times. That was like the second bird we got on. And the first bird he ever got on, it was the same way. Bird was coming. It's kind of like we had Shipman on here last week. He talked about when the bird shuts up, he's coming to you or going away.
Yeah.
This bird shut up and I shut up and we just watched, and that bird walked right in. And when you're sitting on the ground and that bird stretches out to see what's coming, it looks like it's 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
I mean, And so that bird stretched out and was kind of looking around to see where the hen was. And he looked up and he was like, look how tall he is. I'm talking, and the bird said, beep, and he was gone, But so we had multiple experiences like that. But that particular one, when that bird was right there spitting and drumming, full strut, I'm talking 4-5 feet away, and that's
pretty cool.
Yeah,
right
it
there.
was awesome.
Yeah, and that's it's funny you said that about the 410 because when Luke killed that day, we ended up having to shoot that bird twice.
Yeah.
He was down, wasn't going nowhere, but we had to get him again. But Richie. It was Richie. I'd borrowed a 410 from Richie. We didn't even have a gun for him.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put him behind 20 gauge or 12 gauge,
It only hurts for a minute. Yeah.
That hurt enough he'd never do it again.
I did that with duck hunting to mine, put him behind a 20 gauge full, and we would wing him and let him shoot him. The first time he shot the 20 gauge at 6 or 7, it's like, hey, but we got one on the pond, buddy. You want to shoot it? No, I'm good. He didn't want to shoot it again.
Well, see, I can remember that as a kid. My first gun was a 20 gauge.
Mine too.
And it was like, golly, I really want to shoot this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's an animal. I think it was a rabbit or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I told you I went rabbit hunting and killed one.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm pulling the trigger. Boom.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
I'm that way today. Like we talked about sighting in a turkey gun with some number 5s, man. It's like,
the 3.5 inch will put the hurt on you.
Yeah. 2 shots, I'm praying that I'm done.
No kidding. Okay. Well, I think for me, after Luke's first turkey, I think it would be Luke's, probably his next turkey, I think, which would have fast forward probably, he was probably 9, somewhere in there. And I've actually got video of this, but my grandpa's place, we were hunting that. I found some birds. Season was starting, So I went in there with a ground blind and set a ground blind up 2 weeks before season. And there was a particular part of this field where they were coming into. And so I waited till youth and we took him in there and we went in before daylight and it was like the birds were right there. I mean, the corner of the field, they were all roosted right there, And I told Luke, I said, man, it's fitting to go down, Yeah. And I had in the dark put a decoy out, just one single hen. And what was cool about it is we got set up. I had him ready to go. I was filming everything. It was inside the blind, and it just gets daylight. And well, we had, if I remember right, we had 6 or 7 hens come in, and then we had 2 longbeards come in after that, and they work right into the decoy. All them live hens. Yeah. And they come, both of them come to the decoy. Well, you can go figure, you talked about decoys in Arkansas, but that was one of them big field areas, huge field. Yeah. And he comes up there and Luke's on him, and it's like, all right, man, it's fixing to happen. He's like, which one? Yeah. And I'm like, shoot the one in front.
Yeah,
because,
okay.
I mean, you know.
One with the beard.
They actually come up there together and started circling.
Yeah, yeah.
And one following the other
Yeah.
one. And finally, you know, it's like gave him a little, and he stuck his head up and boom, he shoots him with that 16 gauge.
Yeah,
Okay?
oh, yeah, I remember talking about that.
Well,
yeah.
the 16 was my grandpa's.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That I never met. And, you know, my dad got it. And then my dad let me use it. And then Luke took it.
Yeah.
And Luke took it and killed that bird. And it was just like, you know, the sun was coming up and it was this big open field. And then he could have killed the second bird easily because he just kept attacking the first one, you know. And it was just.
Can't do it in Arkansas.
No, you can't do it. But it was just a super memorable, like, it don't go any better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You were set up. They pitched where they were supposed to come to. They went to the decoy. They hung out. We couldn't run them off after he shot. It was just really cool. So it's like super memorable.
Yeah, that's one of those TV hunts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've videoed that one, man.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
Yeah,
phrase.
to me, it's like, that's still one of my favorites.
Y'all actually talked about the gun, too. In that,
Yeah. Because, I mean, we had figured it up at that point. It was like 50, 60 years old, that gun. And for him to kill it with the 16 gauge that my grandpa had
that's killer.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, the bird was big, you know, and all that, but the hunt, man, it's just one of those that just sticks with you. And
the hunt, the gun. I mean, who knows what that gun's? You know, I get geeked out with my stuff like that. Who knows what that gun's killed? You know?
I know.
That's like
and he was a hunter, dude.
Yeah.
He was a big bird hunter.
Oh, really?
So he quail hunted and stuff with that gun a bunch, and who knows, man?
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorites. That, you know, I mean, I got to say his first turkey was probably my introduction, but this one is a close second just because of all the steps and how it went down and what he killed it with, and you know, the whole experience and being on video, which, you know, I was still kind of new at it then, and I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. We just pulled this off.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to do, to put all that together.
Oh, it is.
It's hard enough to kill a turkey, much less put it on video with a kid.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll take it for luck or whatever it was. But,
well, there's, you know, one of the old basketball coaches used to always tell me, like, there's no such thing as luck, right? If I spun around 12 times and threw it up and it went in the basketball goal, did you mean to do it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
It's not lucky then. We all went in there and meant to kill a turkey. That's what it was.
Well, what we tried to do, man, it happened.
All right, I'm going to go back to one of my own personal hunts. I'll touch back on the boy here in a minute. But mine's going to be my first out-of-state bird, and we were in Missouri. Joe and I went to Missouri. And we thought it was going to be super easy. I mean, you know, we get to Missouri, there's turkeys everywhere. I'm taking my bow, kill one with the stick.
Yeah, we're going to knock one in the head.
And boomerang. I mean, we got all of our stuff 'cause it's that easy. But we roll in up there, and it is like 30-something degrees, and it's like sleeting on, you know, opening morning of Missouri season. But we did hear a bunch of birds. Of course, as always, you had a lot of competition, but so we didn't kill anything that morning. And it was probably 11, 12 o'clock, and the wind starts blowing, and the sleet's coming down. Luckily, I had like some pretty heavy gear on, so I basically started deer hunting turkey, right? I'm just going to lean up against a tree. Well, probably about 200 yards away, I can't hear the bird, but I was just calling with a slate call about as loud as I could call just to see if something would come my way.
Right.
And it was cut bean field. It was on Hilton.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a big old tree, probably twice as wide as me, with thorns all on it. And so I'd clean it up, and I'm sitting down there. And this bird, he blows up. When I call, I can see his fan, and then his fan just like folds over him because the wind's blowing so hard.
Right.
It's like fold over him, and he'd go down. He would lose interest, and I'd hit that thing again. Wasn't even using a mouth call because I thought a slate would reach out farther. Long story short, I think it was about probably a good hour and 15-minute hunt. And in the meantime, this bird's working through the beans, and he would lose interest. I would call. I had a set of like 4 or 5 of those giant Missouri does like walk in front of me. Geese are flying over. There's sleet coming down. There's a turkey in the background. I mean, this is like almost every animal you could see. All I needed was a pheasant to walk by or whatever. Anyway, I worked this bird all the way in, and I ended up getting it killed. It was my first out-of-state Missouri bird. And I had it mounted because it was an out of state deal. But you go to Missouri, and the expectations are, I've never been there before, but you always hear there's birds everywhere, and there was. And we were driving around. I was like, "Oh, look in that field! Look in this field! Look in that field!"
Yeah.
Thinking, well, we're gonna be done by 9:30, 10 o'clock. We'll probably have our birds, and we just head back to the house. And so your expectations turn into doubt. And what am I doing? The weather's not right. I just wasted my 3-day trip, and to see the deer and the geese fly over, and everything was kind of iced over, and I kill a turkey right there. And he was a big bird too. He was an old man, but so that was pretty epic deal anyway.
Sounds like it was as memorable as it can get.
Yeah, for sure. Especially first out of state deal. I wasn't really an out of state guy.
Right.
I opened up my own business, and I could take a day off here and there. I was like, let's go to Missouri. So we bounced out, and like I said, I don't think I've been to Kansas or Missouri that I have not killed a turkey.
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking I've killed every single time I've gone up there.
That's pretty good odds there, bud.
Yeah, I think we have. Now, I've been up there with Luke and not killed, but it was normally like, hey, we're not playing this weekend. Let's go up Saturday morning and leave Saturday evening type deal. But,
yeah. Rush. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so that was one, and that's been quite some time ago, too. I bet that was probably 06, 07 probably.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I there's one of those ones that just sticks in your head being.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, for me, my first out of state would be Kansas with Jody.
Yeah.
Was, and what was cool about that is not only did he double.
Yeah.
He killed 2 up there. We just grabbed a map.
Yeah. Yeah.
And went.
Yeah.
And there were some public pieces, and we ended up in a little town in the middle of nowhere, man.
Well, see, I thought you were going to say what was cool about that was, I thought the next words coming out of your mouth was the pink hotel room.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about that, but yes. So in the town where we stayed, there was one room left, and it was completely pink. I mean, everything inside.
I remember you sending me pictures of that, and I was like, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do if you want to kill a turkey.
Me and Joe just shook our heads on that deal, man. It's like 2 dudes hanging out in a pink hotel room. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, as far as a out-of-state trip.
Yeah.
Later on we did Missouri together, which, that was fun too.
Yeah.
I actually didn't kill in Missouri, but we got really close. You know what I mean? So, but
just being the game, that's the thing. I mean, for turkey hunting, for me, it's like, man, if I can just hear a bird and just put me in,
right,
and let me have a shot at one. Like,
well, see, that was my second trip to Kansas. When we went back to Kansas the next year, and it was like zeroed.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't even get on a bird. I think we heard one bird gobble the whole time, and then it was like, man, what happened? Same area, and it was like, what's going on? So I haven't tried it out of state since then.
I don't think I've been. We took the guys up 3 years ago.
Did you?
I think so. I think it's the last time I've been at it. That was Kansas.
Well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking this year? Are you going to make that happen?
Well, now you got me kind of interested in the private Missouri land. So I don't know if we can make that happen. I'm definitely down for that.
Well, I mean, that was that deer lease connection deal.
Yeah.
That's how all that came about. So I've still got all them contact numbers.
Yeah.
I need to give that a whirl.
We got private land. That's a whole other animal right there.
Yeah.
Give that guy a couple shillings and hop on there and kill some
birds. You got 25 dudes calling the same bird?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because, I mean, Missouri's good. Kansas is good. Even the walking. I like what Kansas does with their walking stuff, because if you download that deal and it's like, let's go look here, let's go look here, you can kind of get away from some of the pressure. And what I've done in the past is I find the small ones, or like that little honey hole I've got up there, there's a little strip of woods that runs up a ridge.
Yeah.
And it's a cow pasture. So nobody messes with it.
Yeah.
You got to walk past all these cows. And I've killed 2 birds off of it, like back to back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a walk-in area. And I guess these farmers get paid so much per acre or whatever to put it on the list, but it's like, and it's this place I'm talking about, it's like right across the state lines. Like it ain't
so it's close.
It ain't very far to drive at all.
Well, see, we, that one on Jodes, man, it was like it was like a half-mile walk to get to where the trees were.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean? So, a lot of guys aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, legit.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, too, as a side note, but we were hiking out, and I had all the camera equipment and the ground blind, and Jody he had the turkeys,
Yeah.
And, like, dude, he's like halfway out, and I look back, and he's on both knees.
Yeah.
Just like breathing in the air. Yeah. Like, these are so heavy.
Yeah. You don't realize that, right? That's one of my Missouri stories. Like, you kill a couple of Arkansas birds, kind of around the house area. It wasn't too big of a deal. But in Missouri, so you know how you go in, but you can go straight or you can go down the hill when you pull in that first Helton parking lot. I went down the hill, back up, all the way down that thing, around the ravine, and it was in that big field.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I don't know how long that is.
It's a ways.
That's
a trick.
3/4 of a mile. It's like, I couldn't believe how, like, this thing's wearing me out.
Oh, yeah. Like,
of course, you'd already walked 6 miles that day, but, it's like the bird was... I hadn't carried one that far to that point, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And so 2 of them I can imagine.
Right, yeah. He had one in each hand. Man. He was tore up.
Yeah, I might get kind of brittle after a while.
For sure. Well, I would say my next one on the list for me would be Luke's third bird. And it was another one of them scenarios. This time I had me, Luke, and Lexi all in the same blind.
Yeah.
It was the same kind of scenario. I set the blind up early, several weeks early, on the field edge, kind of same scenario. But this is the one I was telling you about, I'd put a couple of decoys out. I had 2 hen decoys out there.
Yeah.
And we heard a little bit of gobbling in the distance. Didn't hear a whole lot of gobbling that morning. And it was pretty cold. I remember that. It was kind of cold because Lexi was freezing to death, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But we had 2 hens come out to our right, and they lock on the decoys, and you can tell they're scared of them. Yeah. I mean, they literally
that's what I run into
made a big old loop, like stay the heck away from them. Well, as they crossed this field and almost left the field, we had 2 turkeys come out up top by them, and one of them was big boy. I mean, he was a big strutter, and then there was a Jake too. And as soon as they kind of left the field edge, I slipped out there and pulled them decoys down and throwed them behind the blind and got back in there. Did a little bit of calling, just very little. And here comes the hens, the 2 hens. And they're angling straight towards us. Well, guess who's right behind them?
Yeah.
That big Tom and the Jake are following the hens. And, them hens end up walking, I think it was 20-something yards in front of us at an angle.
Nice.
And, the whole time he is just full strut. He'd strut away.
There's nothing like that.
And he just, he'd rock back and forth, rock back. And then the Jake was behind him. So I said, all right, Luke, you kill the Tom.
Yeah.
Lexi, you kill the Jake. Back then you could.
Yeah.
And, man, sure enough, he gets up there. Luke's got the 16, and it's like, boom, and he just drops him, and it just goes to flapping. Well, the Jake runs over there, start trying to flog, I had Lexi on a pod.
Yeah.
And she was rocking back and forth on the pod, Lexi was probably, gosh, she wasn't very old.
Yeah.
And she can't hold it steady on it. Lexi, get on him. And I had her on the 20 gauge, I think, at that point. And we may have had a 410. I can't remember. Whatever. And she takes a shot at him and misses him, you know. And it's like, he won't leave. So I'm trying to get her another shell in there. But anyway, she doesn't kill, but Luke killed. And then we get over there to that bird, and he's mounted because he's the biggest bird.
I remember that one.
He's the biggest bird I've ever seen, you know. And Shipman and them are like, dude, that's an old bird. It's like, oh, cool, But the thing was, I don't think in any way I could have called that bird in if he hadn't been following those hens.
Yeah.
Because we'd done a little bit of calling that morning and nothing.
That's kind of like what we talked about, right? It's like you can get in between.
Yes.
A hen
Cut
and a
them
tom, or same thing like the analogy between food and bed.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to.
Exactly.
And sometimes you booger it up if you do call to them.
Yeah.
Especially
exactly.
if they're with hens. Yeah, they don't.
Well, and see, that was a late morning one. I mean, it was probably like 10 o'clock. You know? I mean, kids were been in there a long time.
Yeah.
But it was. It's memorable because it was just. I think he had like 11-inch beard. He had over 1 inch spurs. I mean, just a big bird. So that one sticks with me.
Yeah.
And it, again, it was filmed, which is what I was doing at that point. And when you pull it off, it's special to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know how that goes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Anyway, that's one that sticks with me. What's your next?
Well, I got I'll flip over. I got a couple of my own. I'll flip back over to Luke because we struggled for a lot of years trying to get a bird down, and it was mostly because travel baseball. Like we just didn't have any time.
Yeah.
First year without travel baseball, we got to hunt the youth season, which we never got to do before. We didn't get to hunt youth season in Arkansas ever.
Right.
And it's one of those spots where it still has some birds on it, but not like it used to.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing. I went and set up a blind like a week beforehand, knowing where they were going to roost.
Right.
And woke up that first morning. I had the birds located like the weekend before that. I went out there with a crow call, and there was 3 of them hammering up there, and a couple of jakes. And sun came up that day, and I did a little bit of tree yelping, a little bit of calling, but it was pouring down rain. So I didn't know if anything could hear me or not. So I just kind of showed up, and we just watched, like, well, let's just see what happens. And kind of same type of deal. We're sitting there 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and all of a sudden I see a hen coming through the woods. Like, hey, right here, there's hens coming right here. Second hen, third hen. Then behind him is 2 big turkeys. Kind of, you talk about, these are old birds.
You can tell they've been around for a minute.
Yeah. And I just put the sight on my shotgun. So he's shooting the 12 gauge now. He's, I don't know, 14 probably, something like that. And the hens, they walk on past us, and the tom, it's kind of like you're talking about. It's, I don't know, maybe 18 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, shoot the one in front, shoot the one in front, shoot the one in front. Boom! Shoots it, it drops down, and everything scatters and goes. So it's like, man, using old Sean Cook's calls.
Yep.
Kind of did a little bit just to get him to come out of strut because they're both strutting behind him. And it's like you're talking about, this bird had, I don't want to lie, but I think it was 11 and a quarter.
Yeah, big.
Yeah, big bird. It's on one of my forward mounts.
And that's in the 4-tier mounts.
Yeah, it's on one of the 4-tier mounts.
That's cool.
And that one's mounted in full strut because he was in full strut.
Yeah.
Fast forward to, that's on a Saturday morning. Fast forward to Sunday morning, we go right back to the same spot. And, man, it wasn't, gosh, I don't know, probably 30, 45 minutes. And again, it was raining. The pictures are hideous because the tail feathers are all jacked up.
Yeah.
But this bird, I would just purr, he would gobble, purr, he would gobble. So he's mounted on that same thing. And the gobble, he's gobbling up on the same 4-turkey pedestal deal. But
so was it the other bird?
It was the other bird.
Oh wow!
Yep, came. We didn't even move the blind.
Wow.
We had it in the same spot.
That's cool.
Hens pitched down. 2 jakes pitched down, and he come firing up, and I would purr, and he was hammering. This one was. It was a little bit longer shot, but I mean, he just dropped it.
Smoked him.
2 birds, 2 days. Youth season's over. This
awesome.
one had 10 3/4. Just, it was maybe a little bit longer than that, but it was just under 11. So 2 giant birds. In 2 days. First year without travel baseball, and then you kind of start questioning, like, man, was travel baseball the right choice? We could have been doing this all along, but I don't know. The chances of killing 2 birds in 2 days
that's pretty tough to do, man.
It's pretty tough to do.
Especially with a youth,
Yeah. And he was older and bigger then.
I actually have the videos, I think, still on my phone.
Yeah, of him talking
about the birds.
Yeah, I got some pretty cool pictures, and those are giant birds. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. With deer, I say it all over. Unless it's a doe, I ain't gonna shoot unless I mount it. And the turkey nuggets are pretty good. I make a mean Cajun turkey nugget, but it's like these birds are like, man, we got to mount these. They're beautiful. They're old.
Yeah.
To double up on the same weekend. So the first one I actually wrapped up and put in the freezer because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it yet. And but to that point, he didn't have a bird mounted. We had actually gone. He went with me to Kansas in that same spot, and he shot a jake with his bow, and we never found it.
Oh, man.
It's like he shoots it, it flops down, goes over on its back, pops a wheelie. We're high-fiving, that bird gets up and takes off running, and we never found it again. So it was like he was heartbroken over that. So
I bet.
Yeah, that was a weekend that you just will never forget being able to double up like that. So
oh yeah, especially with your kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are huge. And so for me too, I think probably you too, sounds like, when our kids were young and Luke was into hunting and Lexi started getting into the turkey side of it, Luke was in the turkey side of it. Yeah. I didn't really get to do much hunting.
No,
I'd go find birds.
I did no hunting. Yeah.
I would go find birds and be like, all right, Luke, I got a bird here. Yeah. And, all right, Lexi,
Yeah.
And, that was okay with me. And I'm still okay with that.
You want it. I mean, for me, and I probably wanted it too much, actually. I mean, deer hunting and everything else, like I wanted it so bad for him.
Yeah. Exactly.
But like we talked about last week, it's not like he didn't work for it.
Oh no. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we were putting in the time. He was scouting with me. Sometimes I would go into work late and locate. I mean, we still had to hike and be quiet, sit, and, do all that stuff. But it was one of those deals where, and he had a pretty rough life in the beginning. Like we missed, I don't know, 7 deer before he killed one.
Oh yeah.
And probably had a shot at 5 turkeys before he ever killed one. It was a lot of mishaps. But to me, that's character. Like,
yeah. No, you keep coming back when you fail. That says something for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For me too. Okay, so when I fell in with Kevin Shipman, and I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is insane with turkey. Yeah. I mean, he just. He knew everything there was to know about turkey hunting and how to set up and what sounds they're making. I mean, I knew a little bit, but I didn't know nothing like
That's
he did.
me. I don't consider myself. He's way above me when it comes to that stuff.
And so he's like, hey, man, you got any birds? I said, yeah, I got a couple, man. He said, well, let's get Lexi a bird,
Yeah.
And for 2 years in a row, God, we had birds all over us. We just could not make it happen. But this last one, we went to a piece of property of his buddies, like we talked about, and it was like, it would have been the best video ever. I mean, this bird just took its time and strut and, gobble, and had birds gobbling behind us, and she just missed, you know? I mean, I kind of rushed her a little bit probably, but she just missed him. And it was like, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the coolest hunts that I'd ever been on, where it took 45 minutes of watching this bird. Yeah. We could see him all the way across this field, and he just take his time, but he's coming.
Yeah.
He's coming. I could tell he's coming. So probably me whispering in her ear 30 times, he's coming. Probably didn't help things.
Yeah. Might amp everything up just a little bit. Like, don't move. Don't move.
Yeah. So, but anyway, and then following that, Kevin's like, all right, man, let's go. I'll take you in there.
Yeah.
And he called in that bird for me. And I mean, it was like pretty cool because we went back. I feel like it was the same bird that he had called in a couple times for Lexi, same area, the following week, and he was calling, and he's sitting behind me, and he's like, he's coming, and I'm like, I can, where's he at? I don't see him.
How do you know?
Yeah. He's like, no, dude, he's coming. And it's like, okay. And so I'm trying to self-film.
Yeah.
Which is tough, as you know.
Yeah.
And so I've got a tripod in front of me to my right. I got a GoPro going. I'm running 2 cameras. And then Kevin's sitting behind me, and he's doing all the calling. Well, he can see the bird before I can. Yeah. And he's like, there he is, man. There he is. Where? And he said, just to the right of that log, And I'm like, okay. So I just reach up, grab the camera, and spin it around. Well, turkey sees me.
Oh, yeah.
And that dude's way out there. And he's like, up, he's leaving. You got to do it now. And it was like, lean up, boom, and shoot him. And boy, he went straight to flopping. And then I was like, oh, wow. He's way out there. And that was just cool because I was trying to film it and having somebody that was actually doing the calling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing the calling. So that was a pretty special one for me. And other than that, that was my last bird that I've actually killed.
Oh, yeah.
My place and places I've hunted just don't have them now. I mean, and I'm kind of like you. It's almost
They're
like
sparse.
You got to go find them. It's really, really tough now to find one here in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Not that there's not birds. There are. It's just where I had birds all the years.
In there. Yeah. You kind of, you talked about up here. I did some, some riding this weekend on the side by side and some, on some WMA stuff. And while everybody else was hanging out talking, I was scouting ridges, and I marked some spots where there's some turkey tracks that I feel like if I want to get it done in Arkansas, I'm probably going to have to be a lot more, what's the word, aggressive. I'm going to travel a lot more, doing some different spots. My spots I normally went to for years.
Dried up.
Maybe. I mean, I haven't been out there and checked them yet, but I have a feeling probably yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know I left 2 birds up on that ridge last year, and
you'll have to go listen.
Yeah, I need to go listen and check that out. Probably, I don't know, Saturday morning, maybe do a Saturday morning, a Sunday morning deal. And if I can't find nothing, I may be hitting the road on Monday morning and going somewhere I've never been before.
Giving it a whirl.
Yeah.
Well, guys, so if you're listening to this will actually come out on Sunday morning. So it's turkey season if you're listening to us right now. So good luck to all you guys out there. We hope everybody has success, right?
Heck yeah.
I mean, it's tougher than it used to be, but it still can be done.
Oh, yeah.
And the good guys that really are devoted will go find those birds most of the time.
Yeah. It's like we talked about before. It's put in the work if you want to be successful. So
yeah. Well, it's like you said, you found birds, and you're going to have to go a mile or two to make it happen. I know you're going to do that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to be there for sure. I already told the wife, said, what are you doing? It's like, I've got Onyx off-road going to map where we are, and I've got Onyx regular going on my phone I'm putting red turkey marks on all these spots. I did it up on another mountain, and I did it up over the road this weekend. So I've got,
you got some potential.
I got about 4 spots, and I know there are turkeys that live there. So, I mean, like I said, just give me a chance. That's all I want to do.
Well, I've got 2 or 3 spots that I've always hunted.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if I got birds or not. I mean, I'm just, it's not, before it was almost guaranteed for years.
Yeah.
And now it's, in the last 2 or 3 years, it just hasn't been that way.
Well, I can tell you, what did I come out here 2 or 3 Mondays ago when I told you I saw, like, down by the church.
Oh, yeah.
Like 11 hens. So, there's got to be a tom running that ridge in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a whirl for sure.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, guys, we want to thank you guys for listening today. We just wanted to recap, kind of talk about
storytelling,
some of our favorite stuff. Yep. I mean, I'm not a huge turkey hunter, but I've killed some turkeys in my time. Yep. And the most memorable stuff for me was with my kids, obviously. Yeah. And a few buddies. So, and Chris is kind of the same way, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back on here in a couple of weeks from now talking about the birds we killed in Missouri and Arkansas. So stay tuned for that.
That's the hope, right?
That's the goal.
Hey, guys, we want to thank y'all for listening, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.